Did you ever come out of a meeting or discussion where you just come out and you feel like you were just drenched by a rainstorm, by surprises you didn't expect in the conversation? Did you ever come to that dead-end conversation you didn't know where to take it? Well, don't feel alone. I've done the same thing. Here's a couple things to figure out how to better become a better listener and to help overcome some of those challenges. First of all, there's a couple points, and I've got 3 main points to drive home today. And this is going to be number 0. Expectations. What expectations did you have going into that meeting or discussion? What expectations did the other person or other team members have going into that discussion? Did you have different expectations? Were you aligned? Did you make sure that at the beginning of the meeting you understood the goals and objectives walking into it? Think about it. If you're not aligned at the beginning, how can you ensure you have the same goals for an outcome? Maybe you have a stakeholder that you're just totally not working with, or you have a struggle with, and they don't want to work with you, but you need to. You need to have their buy-in and support. How are you going to make that happen? How are you going to collaborate? How are you going to befriend them to understand what they need to do? If you have a really struggling with conversations within your organization, and they do, asset management, software asset management, configuration management, trust me, everybody believes it's a backroom operation, and we all know better. It's not. So when you look at it, think about the organization as a whole. Look and understand what the goals and objectives are to your organization. Maybe you have an initiative for IT security. Everybody does these days, right? When you talk about pandemic, you talk about being hacked. I mean, I was talking with a friend over the weekend, had to replace entire infrastructure because they got hacked by the Chinese. Yes, it's real. And it was a government entity. So it's not unusual for that to happen. But my point is, with initiatives, understand what those are. Because when you understand those initiatives, and if you're part of a public type institution, or with aka the government, think about what you can do to align to them. See what you can do to help them out, because that's going to help drive that discussion. If you think about how you can help them be successful and get there quicker, think about what you just did for them. You just gave time back to them. Time is the one thing in life we cannot replace. We can do a lot of other things. We can replace money, replace resources, we can replace technology. We can even replace the data we're working with. Well, we cannot replace the time we spend on it. For example, some of the initiatives you may have, I talked about security operations, great. Here's another one. The configuration management. It seemed to be, I was actually working on a project last year, and I helped asset management, let's make it happen, et cetera. And I said, okay, so what are you guys doing for a seem to be? And it was a government entity. And they said, oh, we're sort of dabbling with it. That's dabble was the technical term. So I got to know the seem to be folks as far as the administrator as well as the owner. And they go, oh my gosh, I wish I knew about you earlier. I'd love to align with your initiative because you can help us in several different ways that our organization doesn't support today. Again, how can you help each other? Because I also explained how they could help me with the asset management initiative. I said, absolutely. Tell me what you need. I'm there for you, 100%. If you can help me, I'll make sure I help you. See what we just did? We have alignment. Next one, another thought that came to mind. Keep in mind, we've talked about 2 so far. We hear about these a lot. Software audits. Software audits. Think about that software audit and the pain you're going through. Think about the pain the organization's going through, right? Being able to further drive to say, okay, how can we do, okay, there we go. Little technical problem, but anyways, think about how you can help better align yourselves to make sure you're successful. You know, hardware, software, how you're doing discovery, how you're looking at the data, how you're making sure you have assurance that the data is accurate. Just examples, right? Think about how you can befriend your fellow team members on that with your initiative. Here's the second one. It's a very similar type note, but talk with fellow stakeholders. If you're coming to a roadblock with your initiative, talk with your fellow stakeholders, see what they're doing, see how they've been successful with their initiative. Again, it's about communication. It's about how you communicate as well as what you understand. Because in this point in time, our communication skills is listening. We want to listen for tips and tricks to make us successful. We don't think about it enough, right? We think about all the tools, technologies, have the technology fix all the problem. Trust me, technologies are only as smart as the process and the data you put within it, as well as the resources managing it. If the technology does not have, it's garbage in, garbage out. You put garbage in that technology, it's not, as much as you're going to say, some tools are going to say, oh, we can solve all the world's problems because you put in our tool. I'll call BS on it. I'll be outright BS. There's ways they can automate some parts of the process, but they're still dependent upon you to help further define what to put within it and how to work with that data. On that similar note, when talking about stakeholders, understand their true pains. You'll hear lots of noise. Yeah, make sure you got it there. You have lots of noise. Great. Again, you just came to a crossroads. You're unsure what the real problem is, but they don't want to move forward. And you may not realize that they just got hacked in that department. And asset management's the thing furthest from their mind. But the reality is it should be the thing closest to their mind, because you can help them better understand what's out there. Not from what got hacked, as much as how can you identify what systems are in place so they can further work on their due diligence. Think about that. And another thing is distinguish between the tool and the program as far as what issues or opportunities you have. I put issues down there, but it could be opportunities. Distinguish between the tools, because what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing from a lot of practitioners today, and I've seen this at conferences for years, I've heard tools. Okay, let's throw another tool in. Management comes in. Let's put another tool in. That tool's no better than the last one. There might be new features of functionality. Great. But how can you further align with what you really need to be successful? Keep in mind what we've talked about so far, right? We talked about setting expectations. We talked about aligning with corporate initiatives. We've talked about understanding stakeholder pains. And I just gave you a few examples. I was just doing a little nuggets for our inner circle today. Most importantly, and the final point on this, here it is. Can you read that? It's in English. Sorry, that's all I know. I don't know any other language. But collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. My point behind that is keep talking. The only way you're going to work through an issue, especially if you're at a stalemate, is you need to work through it. That's what management's expecting you to do. That's what management's expecting your stakeholders to do. Sure, everyone has ego and arrogance, but that doesn't get you anywhere. I don't care what organization. It could be volunteer organization, it could be public institution, it could be a corporation. It doesn't matter. You need to figure out how to collaborate. That's all you're trying to do. And if it's a win-win, it's even better. But think about how you're working your initiative and how when you set that mindset to say, here's what those goals and objectives and where you want to be, and you work on those together. Think about the buy-in you just obtained from your peers. That discussion, that person at the other end of the Zoom call, phone call, the desk you're sitting at in the meeting room, or even the desk in their office. When you identify what your common goals are and how you can help each other, it's a win-win. Because when you talk about hardware and software asset management and configuration management, it's a hub and spoke. Truth be known, it's hub and spoke. Without those, you can do nothing else in the organization. Because I'll give you an example. If you don't collaborate and figure it out, just ask the CEO this question. What happens if you turn off all IT technologies within the company? Will he be successful with his goals? I'll repeat myself. Ask your CEO, CTO, or CIO, but go all the way top if you want. There's nothing wrong with it. Ask him if he's not worried about it. What happens if his entire system goes down? Just turn off the switch. It doesn't matter anymore. What will happen then? Sounds pretty dramatic. That literally, for the friend of mine who was working on his infrastructure, that's exactly what they had to do. Literally. There were other issues that came up, but they literally were replacing their entire infrastructure over one weekend because of being hacked. That's the world we live in today. It's not, okay, potential. It's not, okay, it's not going to happen to me. The question is, when will it happen to you? There's a reason why we're concerned on several different levels, irrelevant where we are around the globe. Think about how asset management, software asset management, configuration management can be more effective within your enterprise. That will help you drive your discussions forward. Well, that's it for me, Mr. Bill. Hope you really appreciate this nugget. Just want to give you a few ideas on how to further progress past any stakeholder stalemates you may have. But if you want to reach out to me, feel free to direct message me. Also, feel free to follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm here for you. Or also, feel free to look me up on the community. Hey, we have an online community too. That's the whole idea behind the co-op. But that's the inner circle for today. I want to make sure I summed up and wrapped up this month with the last communication point, because this is what I see most organizations struggle with. Always. And I'll leave you this final note. When you struggle, when you really struggle in communicating, make sure you understand the pain. Remember, I talked about true pains a little bit ago. Understand the true pain that you're having, your peers having, and the organization's having. Make sure you're working towards the same goal. Because when you think about that, you all want to achieve the same result, and that's success. When you think about how to support each other, it takes you that next level. That's it for now. It's Mr. Bill. I'm going to sign off. You have yourself a great week. Be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.